my name is Joseph Carlson, and this is episode 58 of The Grief of Politics. I'm joined by Avin Carroll. Avin, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing today, sir?
I am good, but don't
It is.
read
It
the
is.
news. Uh,
it is Saturday, no King's Day, the
yeah. Are
18th of
you
October.
are you going to go to one of the protests or whatever? No.
No,
No.
I mean the United States of America was founded on the principles of avoiding monarchy,
Yeah.
no kings.
We're
Um,
all the people that are going are terrorists, though, apparently. They're terrorists, they're leftists, they're
they're
Hamas
funded
sympathizers.
by the American Communist Association. My mom was telling me today when I first
Soros?
told her that.
Soros probably funded large.
I'm sure. I'm
Sure
sure there's
that's
a lot of
there.
discussion
Sure
about
that's
how it's
there.
Soros funded. Yep. Yeah.
Got to take them down.
I,
Which
I, I 100% do not understand how the Republican Party, the party of small government, the party of freedom and liberty and lawfulness, is somehow opposed to the idea of a rally saying no kings.
Yeah, they should be there.
Why are they so offended?
Yeah, you also have to ask the question. By the way, we're going to talk about ICE this episode, and if you like what you hear or see, like and subscribe, share it with your friends and family. We've got a couple more views, but not a lot of subscribers. So that's hey, please subscribe. Anyway, this is all tangentially related. The idea that Trump had a Antifa conference or something. I don't know the official name of it, but
Mhm.
everybody was sitting around long tables and talked about they're going to go after Antifa, which a lot of people pointed out online. Which I guess I was slow on the uptake of this, but if you are anti Antifa, does that mean you're pro fascist? Or you want fascism? Because if you're trying to stamp down on people calling themselves anti-fascist, that kind of means you stand with the fascists, right? Am I missing something? That seems logically what's happening. So
I think that's the easy leap to make, but I believe the accusation that would be made is that Antifa says they're anti-fascist, but they are actually fascist. They're just labeling themselves that way because they're the ones that are out there trying to stop conservative speech and expression. So they're the ones being fascist.
I see. I see. So
And they're
okay.
also, using violence and other stuff, and that's why it's been declared as a terrorist organization.
Did you hear there was? I want to say it was in Virginia. There was. I think he was running for like the deputy attorney general or the attorney general. He released some really terrible text that he texted some other staff or something in the government released, where he talked about killing a Republican opponent and like hurting their children. And
Mm, yeah.
the right was.
Separate from the slew of texts that came out from the young Republicans.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my point. Like everybody I know on the left was like, this is abhorrent. Like this person should drop out of the race. Like you can't text. You're talking about their children. Every reasonable person I read on the left was like, you need to go. But on the
Hmm.
right, when those racist jokes, quote unquote, got released in that text chain, you know, people were like, many conservatives, like JD Vance among them, was like, I'm not gonna judge these kids. It's like they're 30 some odd years old. Like none of these people were like 10-year olds.
Like
They're
10
all
years old, younger than he is.
yeah, and also they're all in government. Like
Right.
they work in like one of them was a staffer for somebody this weekend or last week. They found an American flag and one of the lawmakers behind his desk, and there was a swastika in the like design of the American flag. And so the Capitol Hill cops are investigating it to be like, how'd you get this? I heard a story break that there was some scuttlebutt inside that basically what happened was some unhinged person was like pretending to be a donor or a fundraiser, and they went to the Capitol and were like, hey, I'd like to hand these out. They didn't say anything, but when people started to unfurl them, they're like, wait a minute, what the crap? And a lot of them threw them away, but this person put it up. Somebody did. And so it's like, you're not going to say anything about that. Like again, the person that sent the text that they're going to go after the kids and want to strangle the whatever. That's abhorrent. That person should drop out of the race. And I've heard many reporters say they pretty much their career is done, which as it should be. But on the right, for them to get away with so much stuff and basically the collective reaction of a shrug is like really troubling. where I don't hear the people that were outraged about that text on the right having the same coverage for that kind of stuff. Or on the left, they're not even covering the text chain, or if they are, they're kind of brushing it off. Of like boys will be
That's
boys.
largely being brushed off.
Yeah, it's
No,
like boys will be boys. You're like, what are you talking about? Like,
it's just joking, right? JD Vance's whole thing. I'm not going to ruin a career for some kids joking, right?
yeah,
Like you said, one, they're not kids. They're in their mid late 20s into the. I think one of them's 34.
yeah. I
So
guess one guy was 40 in the group too.
yeah, young Republicans can be up to 40 years old. So like young Republicans is a little bit of a misnomer in that
Yeah,
regard,
yeah.
anyway.
Just
And
they can be
and
Republicans now. They could just be Republicans. They don't have to be the young
right,
Republicans.
but the fact that the Republican Party can't like stand up and be like, no, these are awful. This is absolutely unacceptable behavior, and the kids need to be like called out for it. Several of them have been fired. Like
Yeah,
the organizations they're working for don't want to associate with that behavior,
yeah,
but for some reason the Republican Party can't distance themselves from it. It's like Trump in his first presidency, like not strongly distancing himself from David Duke, and like everyone would be like, he did, but like there's never a point where he was like, no, like that, no, I want nothing to do with him.
I
Like
remember. I
I think
remember.
he did later on in his presidency. I think he did after he got called out like a whole bunch for
Yeah,
it.
well, even
But
David Duke early when Trump was running said, "I want him and Tucker to run. I want Tucker to be his running mate. And I want them to win the election." And I thought like I would have an all hands on meeting to be like, what are we doing to
yeah,
gain the attention of David Duke? What are we saying that makes that?
what we're talking about right here,
Yeah,
Joe, what we're
yeah,
talking about
yeah,
today is exactly what they're doing that's making them feel that way, right?
yeah.
Like, so right before I got on the phone call with you, uh, I was talking to my mom in the living room, and my wife started laughing. Like, what's so funny? And she shared this meme with me, and it was a bunch of ICE agents with their masks on, carrying bags of leaves into a back of a van, and the caption was, "ICE agents detain leaves after they turn brown."
That's good. That's really good. I like it. I like it. This is
The
really good.
the the really frustrating thing for me on that is, like the agency should never look that way. It should never appear that way. Like that shouldn't even be a thing that we have to joke about. Now, to some degree, right? You could say if you're conservative and you're on the right, you can be like, oh no, this is just the right trying to paint them as racist. But like they're doing work. There's these illegals. They need to be out of the country. Blah 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 blah. But like they're not doing it with any due process. They're not doing it with warrants. They're just grabbing people that look un-American, which is why we've had so many Hispanic Americans born in the United States,
Yeah.
raised in the United States, get arrested with like absolutely no verification. So
Right.
it's sad. Like, how could you even call yourself law enforcement if you can't even do like basic verification right there at that point in time? Like, it's absolute flagrant violation of civil liberties and civil rights. And our Republican members of Congress and Senate aren't like screaming from the rooftops. You're violating individual liberty in the United States,
Yeah.
and they're supposed to be the party of individual liberty.
Well, you and I talked about it. Like,
As long as you're not the wrong color. Like I would never have felt that way up until like the last 6 months. I've always given the benefit of the doubt, and it is so flagrantly bad.
Yeah. Well, all these stories coming out. There was just. I'll find it later in the pod, but there was an interview with a veteran in I think California who was detained for like
Yep.
3 days, and he's a veteran.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
born in Southern California somewhere, and he
Yeah.
was going. He had a security job, and he was trying to get to the location, but he called his boss and he said, "Man, ICE is all around the building. I can't get in." And he tried to leave because you could like get in a little bit, and then we've all done. I've done that on job sites where you go in, and you're like, I can't get out of here. He turned around, but then
Yeah.
ICE surrounded him. They detained him. Like they took him out of the car, and he was like, "I have my ID. Like I'm a citizen. Just let me go get my ID." And they go, "We don't care." He was on suicide watch for 3 days. They didn't give him
Yeah.
a phone call. He wasn't able
Yep.
to talk to his
Didn't
family.
tell his wife and kids where he was.
Yeah, his kid had like a birthday, like, and he was, gonna get off work and do the birthday thing, and like he missed it. Like,
Yeah, was the sheet three?
yeah, it's like what the heck?
Yeah.
And it's like you look at him and you're like, oh yeah, because he is of Hispanic descent. I don't know his exact whatever, but yeah, he's off-white, so then he automatically is a target. For
Okay.
like ICE agents to just grab him out of the car. And we're gonna play a clip later, and I can't even believe. Did you watch the clip? I guess we'll watch it for the first time. It's only about 2.5 minutes. It's police body cam footage. But really, the first article we got is from Vox, and I did this because it did do the right and the left divide and like what all these videos are that are coming out. And is this the one you read? You read this one?
Yeah, the Vice article, the mega viral ICE videos that explain America right now.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
when you were reading it, what kind of jumped out? Because for me, it was a good way to say like, here's what the left thinks and here's what the right thinks, and I was like, oh, this is, and I kind of I had
Didn't
it.
surprise me in any way, shape, or form. Any
Yeah,
way, shape, or form at all, right? Like we all hear about it. We've heard about it since 2016. People are in their echo chambers. They're in their bubbles, and it 100% makes sense that the algorithms are feeding people um, what is aligned with what they believe and support because
yeah,
the algorithms are really stinking good at knowing what you're going to agree with, and they want to keep you watching. They don't want to piss you off.
yeah. I also heard with the No Kings thing happening today, JB Pritzker and governor of Illinois. He's the governor, yeah, governor of Illinois.
Mm.
And Also, I was listening to Pod Save America. They were doing like a news roundup, and they talked about the Nose Kings thing. Both of them said, "Listen, if you're out, we obviously they were very clear. It needs to be totally peaceful. Bring your kids. Like maybe there'll be
Mm.
food, like whatever. Play music, but record everything." If and Pod Save America specifically called out like celebrities, like, hey, if you have any kind of notoriety, record what's going on, because if people in your feed see what's happening and see that it's nonviolent, that it's good, they're gonna be like, oh, these people are lying. All the like Mike
Mm.
Johnson to say that people are terrorists and stuff. And I gotta say, like, I do reading this breakdown, this Vox article where they broke down the right and the left. From the right, I do understand this idea of the punitive, like, oh, look, the liberals are crying type thing. But as many people have pointed out, it's never going to be enough, and it's not just going to stop. It's just going to keep feeding and feeding and feeding. They'll start going after everybody, you
And
know?
when will they turn on you because you aren't close enough or pure enough in their ideology?
R-
Eventually they will, right?
right.
So the best thing you can do is what Germans did in World War II. You can keep your head down, you can make your feigned support, and you can live your life um,
Yeah, like the
quietly.
you heard those stories of like Jewish people trying to work with the German government, and they're like, yeah, they're dead. Like they were like, oh, maybe it won't be so bad. And it's like, those people didn't make it. Those families didn't make it because they thought, well, this is fine. And I got to say,
Well, yeah, I'm talking about the average German citizen,
oh,
not the Jews. Like as the war was going on, right? Like, famously, the village near the first concentration camp was found. That they made those people clean it up, and they're like, we didn't know." Well, how could you not know? What did you think was happening,
well, that
right?
smell to everybody that I've read a
But the
testimonial.
average German citizen, you get further away from that, right? When you're not living right next to a concentration camp,
Right.
and it's like you don't know what's going on. You're only getting the news that you're getting. They had very potent propagandists within the country at that point in time, right? Like if you don't agree with it, you just kind of keep your head down
Go about
and
your
go about
day.
your daily life, right?
Yeah, and I think for a lot of people, if you're not in one of these cities that this is happening to, like, luckily you and I, we always said we're in Washington State. I have been to Portland, and I actually went there when apparently Trump said it was on fire. And I made a joke with the guy. I was at a job site, and I walked out of my van to get something. And a guy was just walking his dog in a neighborhood, and I go, "Hey, man, I thought the city was on fire." And he says, he goes, "What?" And I said, "Yeah, the news said the city was on fire." He goes, "Oh, I don't watch the news." And I said, "Well, it was Trump.
Yeah.
Trump."
Smart.
I said, Trump said the city was on fire, and his dog ran back to him. He pet his dog. He goes, "We're fine." And I was like, "There we go." And then there was like someone across the street going, "Hey, what breed is that?" They were talking about their dogs. I was like, "Truly, this city is just, it's going to hell."
Absolute bedlam.
Absolutely, people walking around with coffee, like, it's crazy. And I'll say this: I am also not surprised that this is happening, but I think people are getting more of kind of the real picture. Like, they keep talking about algorithms in this
Hmm.
article, but it seems like Trump is polling lower and lower on immigration, because I think this stuff is getting out, and you're hearing more stories from people going, "Hey, man, I wanted him to go after the criminals, and now they're just rounding people up in paddy wagons or whatever, and we're sending them to Venezuela, which I really want to talk to a lawyer. That's one thing that's always mystified me. I understand, like, okay, you're Venezuelan, you're an immigrant, maybe the process isn't over with yet, you committed a crime, we could deport you back to Venezuela. That's your country of origin, or your, whatever. But I don't know how you can take someone from Haiti, or they talked about Kilmar Obrego Garcia. They were going to send him to like Africa. And it's like,
Yeah.
how are we able to do that? Like, do we have an agreement with that country? How does that not even violate someone's just not even, I don't
Early
even,
on in the process, like some of the countries we were talking about sending people to were like, no,
yeah. Well,
we're
also,
not your dumping bin. You can't get rid of, like, just drop people here because you don't want them in your country.
by the way, I think one of them was Syria. Do you know the mess Syria is in right now? You might as well just put them in a black box in the ocean. Like, there's no way, like, if somebody went to Syria, you have no idea, like, if they're going to get back, where they would go to. They'd just be gone. It's like, well, I might as well say that my uncle, aunt, whoever is dead because they sent them to Syria. Like, I can't even, that's one thing I definitely want to write to a lawyer and be like, how is this even legal? Like, again, I understand if you're like from Haiti to be like, hey, we denied your immigrant, we denied your status, whatever, just go back to Haiti. But like to just be like, hey, we're going to send you to Africa. It's like, what? Like, I don't even understand how that's legal. And like you said earlier, it's amazing to me that Congress or any other, I don't know, lawmaking body is not like, hey, man, what's going on? Like, there's been some scuttlebutt from some lawmakers, and, the shutdown, obviously, is happening. And there's so many other things on fire that nobody cares that the government shut down. And I think, obviously, I think what happened is the Trump
A lot of
administration,
people care the government shut down. People that
well,
aren't getting paid.
I think that what happened was Trump realized it's a big deal, so they carved out bills to like pay the military and stuff because he knew there would really be problems if that didn't happen.
By the
But
way, illegally, I read a whole article on that yesterday, breaking down how, like, the way that they're paying um, the military right now is by using money that hasn't been spent out of the DoD budget, but they're not allowed to do that. That money has already been appropriated and
like
earmarked
earmarked for
by
other stuff.
Congress.
Nice,
Right.
nice.
And the power, the way it's written in the Constitution, how the government, how Congress does that, like they literally like break it down to like how many widgets are
Right.
we going to buy, right?
Yeah.
And so staff is a very specific line item in a budget like that. They can't just take money from one place and do it to the other. And apparently in the like memo that Trump sent over, like he knew this would be an issue,
Yeah.
and or he was advised this would be an issue, or the person that wrote it before he signed it knew it would be an issue because there's a clause in there like once the government reopens, you need to pay back this bucket, but that's still not legal.
This is so, that's so crazy. That's so, man, it's one of those things where we're
But
not,
again, Congress doesn't give a crap, right? Like Trump is just running roughshod over Congress right now, and all of these people are just like bowing down and kissing the ring. I'd say something more vulgar at this point in time because it feels like they're all just in his little private harem, but
by,
I'm not going to.
by the way, I'll send you a photograph that, I'll see if I can find it. It's 10 out of 10. I think it alludes to what you're saying is the fact that Trump is at a desk giving a speech or about to give a speech, and Rubio's bending over, and there's like something in the way. Rubio's probably just bending over to get like a piece of paper, but it looks like something. And somebody said 10 out of 10 photo, no notes. Like it looks like it's like what all of his cabinet is doing.
The reality of it is that I don't think that's the case. I think they're all scared to death of pissing off MAGA and they don't want to lose their seats
I think
because
that
Trump has already very successfully primaried out a lot of people from power and no one wants that to happen to him. And I think they're all just a bunch of spineless, sniveling little kit asses.
yeah, I think that's
Most of them, with the exception of maybe Holly and apparently now somehow out of the blue MTG,
yeah.
Marjorie Taylor
I
Greene.
I think some people have pointed out that she may be like a canary in the coal mine because whatever you want to say about her, she does talk to her base and she's part of that MAGA thing. So if they're coming
Yeah.
to her and saying like prices are
What is
going to go
going
up,
on?
what's happening?
Yeah.
The premiums are going to go up for medical stuff in November because that's open enrollment. So if
Yeah.
she's on podcast right now saying, "Hey, we got a problem with affordability," like I think
Yeah.
there's going to be a big problem, and a lot of people are like, "She's a canary in the coal mine" because she's actually talking to these MAGA people saying, and they're coming to her going, "What is happening?" And
I think the point of this particular article, though, that we get out of this, though, is that anyone that's uh, anyone that's far enough to the right that they aren't seeing countering viewpoints in their news and in their media, right? Like they're watching news that's dismissing the racist text chains. They're watching news that's dismissing the guy talking about killing his opponent. They're watching ICE generated, DHS generated, like, and by generated I mean like
produced.
curated, produced content, right? Like those people see Trump doing what he said he was going to do, and they agree because they voted for him based off of this, and so they're like reinforced, right? Like doesn't the article actually even highlight that the comments that are coming in under this office are like, "This is what I voted
Yeah,
for.
this is what I
I
want.
voted for this." The common refrain from these quarters is a variation on "I voted for this," right?
Yeah,
Like that particular paragraph, right? In the other reality, the right side, because they had just talked about what left-leaning media is covering. In the other reality, and their whole premise here is there's two realities. There's the left reality and the right reality. Um, However, these videos are a source of glee, curiosity, and satisfaction. To viewers who support ICE's actions, such videos are regarded as appropriate reactions to hostile crowds harassing law enforcement officers as they try to enforce existing immigration law.
yeah,
The common refrain from these quarters is a variation on "I voted for this." And let's be honest, right? Like the right has always been that way. When we had the George Floyd protests and then eventually a lot of places riots, right? Like people are out there attacking law enforcement. The
right.
the twist in this particular situation though is just like it's not local law enforcement that's out there. It's ICE, it's DHS. And
Yeah,
um every single time they come out and they say like, "Oh, our officers were attacked," there's some kind of body footage. I shouldn't say every time, but too frequently there's some kind of body cam footage that comes back and
yeah.
shows, "No, you guys started it." Like,
Or they try to arrest people and say we got this terrorist, blah blah blah, and then they have to
yeah,
release them with no charges. So it's like,
right.
so you found nothing. I will say this, just as a side, going back to that, that Antifa conference. Just this makes me laugh every time I hear about
Mhm.
it. Kristi Noem was on there saying we arrested the girlfriend of the original Antifa founder, and I thought. There's this part of me that thinks that that's just something that somebody yelled as they were getting thrown in the car, and it was a joke of like, yeah, I totally dated the head of Antifa, and then someone had to go back to Kristi Noem and go, we got him, and it's such a joke this actually leads into the next article, which is if you're not I purposely put this photo up in Portland right now. I believe, I don't know, being a lefty, I don't know the proper way to protest. I'm going to be very honest. But I think this thing right here is a very good way to protest. In Portland right now, people are going out in
Are
inflatable and.
you are you wanting to share this article, Joe? Because right now you're sharing the ICE officer tries to get out of drunk driving arrest.
Oh, no, on my screen, that's what you see. On my screen, I see the article and it's what I'm recording. So it's the Daily Beast article. So we'll get to that. I'm only sharing a screen for the
Gotcha.
video. But this daily article, you can click on the article, but there's a picture of
Mhm.
the frogs are stronger together strong. And it's the idea of in Portland, what they're doing is they're just getting in inflatable outfits and playing music and dancing. And you could be like, well, how is that an effective protest? Because in my opinion, it proves how silly all this is. Of like, look what we're doing. You're gonna come harass a guy in an inflatable frog costume.
Right.
Are you kidding me? There's other photos.
It's also an effective protest because it shows how petty and like weak. That's not the right word. Petty and I guess weak, right? Because like they're just so easily offended by something so simple. Like these people disagree with us and they're acting stupid in front of us. So like we're gonna get all up in arms and be upset about it.
So the guy in the Tony the tiger outfit, uh, his name is Robbie Roadstimmer. He is like kind of a performance artist, but um, he trolls politicians. He was actually in an event where Steve Bannon, I think when Steve Bannon got out of jail and gave like a
Mm,
press conference, Tim Miller from the Bulk was there, and Tim Miller's known Steve Bannon for a long time. Was asking him all these questions, and Robbie Roadsteamer was there dressed up as like an ex-inmate, and he's like, Steve, remember I was in cell block B3 with you? We lifted weights together, and Steve just starts laughing. He's like, you remember me, brother? And then somebody escorts him out. He didn't, fight or anything. He just in Portland. He went to Portland and dressed up in this tiger suit with a G-string and was basically just yelling stuff at the ICE officers, and they were at a federal building, and they shot near him. They actually shot him, and as you can see from the photo here, he oh no, that sucks.
Nope, that is not
Sorry,
correct.
whoops.
That's the colonel.
Anyway,
What are you doing, Joe?
I screwed it all up. But no, he was detained, let go, and he gave an interview with Tim Miller, and he's like, remember Tim? You and I were in the same room. Tim was like, really? And the producers played the clip, and then Tim's like, oh yeah. Tim was like on the side asking Steve Bannon questions, and this guy was like, remember you, me, Steve Bannon, you and me, we were lifting weights, and like they escorted him out. And he's like, this is so ridiculous. He's basically like, this is all silly. That's why I went there. That's why I wore the G-string. He had a boombox and was playing a really well-known song, and even the ICE guys in the roof were kind of laughing. They were just like, oh my God. And they shot him because they said he got too close to like they had a line of like, do not cross. And they said he crossed it. So they shot him. And he goes, you can look at the footage. Like everybody had their cell phones out. I was nowhere near that line. And so they just were shooting me to shoot me. So, and then they detained him and all that. And I think not only do these photos just show how crazy it is, but it just, in my opinion, just shows how silly all this is. And it's like, let's make it as silly as possible. We should be dancing. The naked bike ride, that's a very famous thing that happens in Portland every year. They got a special like permit to actually go near the ICE facilities and protest with the protesters. So there's footage of the naked bike ride, them riding through the street near the ICE facility. And I thought, well, that's even better. A lot of nudity. I saw the news footage. It was somebody from the AP just filming it. But I thought it was funny it was raining that day. So they had clear ponchos on as they were riding their bikes. They're like, listen, we're the naked bike ride, but we need to be sensible. And I've said this privately to my wife. During the George Floyd protest, there was protests in Seattle. There's protests everywhere. And I remember seeing the protests in Seattle and like, oh man, that's so terrible. They're pushing against the cops. Everybody's getting pepper sprayed. This is nuts. And then you'd see Portland, and they were like throwing like tear gas back at the officers. And I was like, dude, Seattle is like JV compared to the varsity that is Portland with protesting. And I'm seeing this footage of these people in these costumes. I'm like, yeah, they just know how to do it in Portland. They just know how to protest correctly. Like, we suck here. We just have signs and we're telling them to, stop arresting people. But man, let me tell you, Portland, they know what they're doing. So,
I will say this though, right? Like on the flip side of it, you and I have talked about my viewpoints on immigration before, right? Like uh, how we're doing it, I disagree with vehemently. We're not doing due process. We're not treating people respectfully. We're treating anyone and everyone based off of the color of their skin like they're criminals, right? You could make the argument that like, oh yeah, we went after all those Koreans at the plant in Georgia,
yeah.
but that was an anonymous tip
Yeah.
that turned out to end up not ultimately ended up being not so anonymous, right? Like they didn't go out and just grab a random Asian person off the street and arrest them for looking like they don't belong.
Yeah.
They're doing that to Hispanic Latino people. They're just like, hey, you look Hispanic, we're going to arrest
Yeah.
you.
You look,
Like there was a really big thing in
you're off
in-
white. Yeah.
yeah, there was a whole bunch of different individual cases going on in Chicago with just a whole bunch of different like racial profiling behaviors. But one of them was this lady that is of Hispanic heritage, but she was adopted by an American family, and they grabbed her on. I think she was on her way home, because she looked the type, and she works in the service industry, so she looked like she had the job of the type. And when they grabbed her, they saw her last name, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't think this is really your last name. This name doesn't match what you look like."
Yeah, because it was like Smith. I remember that. It was like
It's like Greeley.
Yeah, yeah.
It was. I think it was Greeley.
But yeah.
And it doesn't. Your name and your appearance don't match. Like
Yeah, what are you
that
talking
is not
about?
a reason to arrest someone. That is a failure of our legal system. Like seriously, I do not understand how local law enforcement is not arresting these ICE officers for violating due process
Well,
and
there,
civil liberties.
there has been some scuttlebutt. I don't know if it was Chicago or some other city where DHS is there, and they were like, Chrissy Nome or somebody was like, the cops aren't even helping us, and somebody from the Chicago PD or whatever had to be like, or maybe it was Portland. They're like, we are under no, like, we don't have to cooperate with you, and we are not. So like we have a thing in our city. It was some law or ordinance that they passed, and they said, this is illegal. We don't want you here. And because we don't want you here, we don't have to help you. And like, it'd be one thing if we asked and did a partnership, so then we'd assist, but we don't want you here. So like, you're on your own, bro. Like, it was like, that's pretty great.
I don't know if I fully agree with that, right? Like, where it's actually being lawfully done and conducted, like, I think law enforcement should be supporting in those scenarios.
Well,
right? Like,
I
when
think
you've got ICE and DHS and they're in there and they're actually, like, filing for warrants and they're following due process and they're actually pursuing people that are, there criminally, that aren't, in the process of trying to get a green card or, in the process of going through asylum where like they have protection from extradition, like,
right.
yeah, law enforcement doesn't necessarily need to do a whole lot, but like they shouldn't be actively not assisting when there's requests for assistance.
Well, I think
But flip side of it, like, enforce the laws of your city. When these people grab someone illegally without proof or evidence of who they are, that officer should be arrested for failing to follow due process.
right. And the two things
That's kidnapping.
Yeah, the two things I've heard that charge, when this happens, because these people just get plucked. It's like, that's kidnapping. But I've heard two things. One, I heard some, like, it was like an interview, and a guy like talked to some people in the DHS that were like working high up, like lawyers and stuff. And they were like, I don't like this, because what happens is every resource is to like these lower level things. They're diverting lawyers and all this stuff to just pick people off the street. And like, what about all these like human trafficking rings and like drug rings? We could be looking at that,
which is what they sold this as, and is not what's actually happening.
So
right?
They're just diverting all their resources towards,
and they're cherry picking. Like, we've grabbed so many tens of thousands of people. See, look, we found these 2 kids that were being trafficked or were missing. But great. I am so glad that we did. That should happen, but that should be like every single one of these cases.
right?
Like, when they're out there doing it, they should be going after those specific people, and that should be like DHS and ICE right now should be putting out like left and right everywhere. Like, oh, we broke up this gang, we found 48 kilos of heroin, right? Like, those should be the stories we're hearing, and they're not. And they're scooping up people in front of Home Depot. They're grabbing people at courthouses. They're raiding a building in Chicago and just grabbing people out of their bed
with Black Hawk helicopters. And they said out of all that, they said they detained one person that might be MS-13 or whatever. But because they lie so much and these other people get released, you can't even believe the one person they got. You're like, is it? Are they going to see their day in court? Where's the evidence that said they're MS-13?
It's the lady that was supposedly shooting at him that it turns out wasn't at all.
Yeah, that they hit her with their car, or they pulled a gun on her. So, all right.
Yeah.
So let's get to this last thing, Avin. This might be the biggest thing in contention. This came out a few days ago. I'm just going to play a minute of it to see if you can hear it.
The guy in the white shirt.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay, it's coming through here too. So, all right. We're just going to watch the whole thing, and then we'll comment afterwards, because I think you got to watch the whole thing.
The guy in the white shirt.
That's the colonel.
Colonel, don't mean shit to me.
Okay,
well. I'm federal.
Okay.
I'm trying to get home. I got my boys with me.
Who do you work for?
DHS.
Do you have your ID with you?
No, I don't.
Okay. But if I called them, they'd verify that you're a
100%,
department.
bro.
Okay. You don't have any type of credentials or anything that say you're DHS?
Not on me, no.
Okay. All right.
I only bring my weapon with me if I'm.
Okay. But you don't have any weapons on you right now?
No, I don't.
Okay. So what I want to do, I want to talk to you away from the kids. So I'm going to ask you to step out of the car, and we're going to walk back to the back of your car, okay?
Are you fucking serious right now?
Yes, sir, I am.
You know what? Call my supervisor.
Okay. Do you want to do the exercises or no?
I'll do it. But you know what? What's homeboy doing down there? You know, guys, come on.
Make sure we all sit because we're inside of the water. We don't want to get hit. We don't want you to get hit. That's why I'm trying to do the exercise. That way we can move on.
Are you Haitian?
That's nothing to do with my wrist, buddy.
My question was, are you Haitian?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where he's from. Okay. Look, man, I really need you to do the exercise. If you don't do it, then I'm going to say that you're refusing to do the exercise. I get it. You need a minute. I gave you a few minutes, okay? But
Let me talk to your supervisor.
not right now, sir.
Yeah?
If you're a cop, whatever.
Yeah, I'm a fucking law enforcement,
Okay,
dude.
then stop talking and sit in the back of the car and stop. Stop this.
Come on, let's go.
Stop this.
What about my kids?
We're gonna take care of it.
No,
But
I'm
first
not
I need-
going in there. Let me talk to your supervisor.
Again, you can talk to him in a second.
Nope. Not going in there without my supervisor.
Okay, let's go to the other side. Come here. Come on, man. Don't pull against me. Let's go over
I'm
here.
not moving, bro. Don't fucking do this.
Let's go.
Lane.
Okay, I'm gonna...
Hey, come on, buddy. We're not doing this. Come on, let's go.
So you guys are fucking shut.
Come on, put your feet in.
Stand up.
Stand up. Come on.
Stand up. Put your feet in, man.
No.
Man,
Put
don't
your
be a
feet in.
kid. Come on.
Stop.
Where are my kids?
Stand up. Put your feet in.
What?
Put your feet in. Put your feet in. You don't want to make this worse already. Come on. Come on, man. Let's go.
You gotta sit in the car,
You're
man.
going to jail for DUI, which is a misdemeanor. If you don't cooperate, you go to jail for resisting. It only makes it worse.
Come on. Put your feet in, buddy.
All right, your kids will be fine. This will pass.
Listen to me.
No, sir, not on the side of the road.
Come on. Let's go, man.
We gotta sit down, Scott.
God damn you guys. The guy in the white shirt.
So that's the video, Evan. That's the video. That's the video. I mean, this is actually from the Bulwark. I've seen this in other places, but this was a condensed version. I've seen longer things. This is kind of the highlights. You're not really missing any context. You know, it starts here at the same spot. So he asked the officer, the police officer, where the guy was wearing a vest so he wouldn't get hit by the side of the road. And he said, "What's he doing?" And he just said, "Sir, we just want you to do the thing." And he goes, "Are you Haitian?" And I was like, my God, right now, when you're, right now is the time. Okay. So these are the best and brightest that ICE has right now. These are the type of people they're hiring. Like, do you hate immigrants? Like, sign here. I mean, that's what it looks like. It's like, so,
we don't know anything about. I mean, we'll find out more about this particular person. We have no idea how long they've been with ICE or DHS, I should say. DHS is different from ICE.
Yeah. But I'll say too, I showed this to my wife, and I rant a lot about politics. But the first thing she said after the video stopped is she said, "He's driving drunk with his kids."
Right.
His
and that's
kids
where
are
we
back.
should really call it out, right?
So
like
if you're
this
just
is
listening,
federal law enforcement driving drunk, resisting arrest, trying to leverage his position to get out of getting in trouble, right? Like there's nothing good in this video.
Yeah, and everybody,
not a single thing.
And everybody could say like, well, this is a one-off, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I could show you a lot more videos,
Correct.
Evans. I could show you a lot more videos. There was a video, I think in New York, of a woman in a courthouse with an ICE agent there. He didn't have a mask this time. And she was pleading in Spanish, like, what happened to my husband? You've taken my husband. Just tell me where he is. And the officer pushed her down. And there was reporters there. They recorded the whole thing, and everybody started screaming because it's like, why did you push this woman? She wasn't accosting you. She was just pleading, like, tell me where my husband is. Well, he got fired, and I don't know if you know the end of the story, but they reinstated him like a week. Yeah, they reinstated him like a week later. So these are the type of people that we're hiring for ICE, and they've their budget has exploded. Somebody did the math, and they said it's bigger than the Israeli military budget.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's huge. So I didn't listen to it, but apparently there was an interview with somebody who was around during the Patriot Act and the war on terror, when that kicked up after 9/11. And the long and the short was I heard an abridged version of where it was basically we had this problem back then because we obviously got a lot more money with the Patriot Act and all this, but we had to hire so many people, you just suspend or shorten the amount of training that people get. And that means that those people don't, they just don't have experience. And you're literally just throwing bodies at a problem. So that's what you're seeing with ICE. You're just seeing, you're seeing these type of people get hired. And a lot of people will point it out. So everybody's seeing these videos, and more of these videos are getting out, but they're still recruiting. ICE and DHS is still recruiting. So the type of people that are watching these that are no, I want to do that. It's that's troubling too.
Exactly.
It's you're really not even scraping the bottom of the barrel.
I've seen ads. I've seen multiple ads of come work for ICE.
Yeah.
Not
It's
like videos, but like banner ads and stuff.
yeah, it's terrible. Also, this is tangentially. I didn't have the articles for it, but we have been literally bombing boats off the coast of Venezuela. We're at
Yep.
we're at 5 right now. I don't know if you heard there was 5. Some of them there
And
was
we've now detained 2 people that survived the most recent one.
man. What are their stories going to be? They're in a Navy vessel right now. Apparently, like
We're not going to hear a word of their story.
yeah, they're gonna
Because if it violates the narrative in any way, shape, or form, however, if it fits the narrative, they're going to be paraded around as justification for the behavior.
yeah. Well, what I think.
This is why we're doing it.
Well, one thing I sent you last night that's tangentially related to this as well is the fact that the what like I think he's a 3-star colonel who is in charge of Southern Command, that Southern Hemisphere, like South America or whatever. He resigned, and I heard
He's an admiral.
I heard an interview with somebody that was retired, like major or whatever, and he said, well, a lot of people don't know about this, but like he was, this is a 3-year position. He only did it for less than a year, and he resigned. When you do these kind of like, when you're kind of this command person and you're getting led up the chain, you have a lot of classes on ethics and morals, and they tell you. And he goes, it's never happened, or it's happened very few times, but they tell you, like, if you don't think a command is lawful or you can't follow to your moral code, they tell you to resign. So he said, this guy isn't going to tell his story. Hegseth's going to say, like, well, we thank you for your service, blah, blah, blah. But he said, there's this whole thing, if you've been in these circles in the military, and he was because he was retired. He said, you understand by him just resigning, that sends a message to everybody else in the military of, like, I see what you did. I see what you did there. Like, and that's what's happening, So like, we haven't had one press conference about any of these boats. I mean, I haven't seen it. Have you seen any press conferences on one of these boats getting bombed? Pete Hegseth had those.
Other than just they announce them.
Yeah. Or they show the video of the boat getting bombed. Remember in Iraq when they blew up that bridge and it was like famous because like that one car got over the bridge, but they had to that took years and they had to declassify it. And Trump, like the day after it happens, is tweeting out these videos of these boats getting murked. The first boat, they hit the boat. Then apparently there were survivors and they went back around and hit it again to get rid of the survivors. And it's like, that's murder. Like that, you just murdered someone. I don't know. It's troubling. And now in Haiti on the local news, somebody put a clip that the Haitian news. It's like, hey, don't fish off the coast because we're getting bombed by America. Like, just if you don't do it. And you're like, that's what it's come to. Like your country's in turmoil, and you think I'm just gonna go out to sea today. I'm gonna fish. I don't care what's happening. In the government. I just want to get a job. And then you get bombed. Like you said earlier on, I can't believe there's no Republican with a spine that is like, hasn't set up and go. I think Rand Paul actually, which I was like, oh my God, I'm agreeing with Rand Paul and Thomas Massey. And they're like, hey, I think when the third one got hit, Rand Paul was like, wait a minute now. Maybe it was after the first one. He was like, this is not acceptable at all. And so it's like, this is.
But the rest of them just can't grow spines. Like they just can't grow. I don't get it. Like we're living in the upside down, man. I mean, maybe not quite that. It's the Twilight Zone. It's not quite the upside down.
By the way,
like
they did say in the 5th season of Stranger Things that we'll explain what the upside down is. So maybe we'll have a better understanding of where we live after that comes out. We'll be like, oh, this is what it is.
like they're so spineless, man. Like I don't get it. Like our current administration is running roughshod on the Constitution. They're getting called out every once in a while by the Supreme Court, but the Supreme Court, by and large, is letting them get away with it, which is really weird because it's a court that's seated by a whole bunch of originalists
Right.
who are making stuff up. They're just going off on their own to justify these behaviors. Excuse me, I don't get it. I just. Like, am I that far in the wrong? Am I so far off base? And I would wager that most conservatives would say that, yeah, you probably are, or you are for sure. But, like, one, yes, illegal criminals, when they're arrested, should be deported. By the way, ICE was out parading around some guy who came into the country illegally, was deported, came in illegally, was deported, came in illegally, was deported, that like committed some heinous crime, as a rape or a murder or something
Yeah,
recently,
I
and
think
they're
I
parading
remember.
this guy. Oh yeah, he's been back. I'm like, yeah, but you're not going to stop that. Like your deportation of him doesn't prevent him from coming back. However, the guy that's arrested, that's in the country illegally, that's committed some kind of crime, that then gets just released on his own recognizance instead of being sent back, like violent crime, right? Like that's a different scenario in my mind.
Yeah. I
Now, there's
also
the whole argument like, should there be borders? Should there not be borders? Blah, 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 blah. But like, picking up the guy at Home Depot, yeah, he's in the US illegally. Maybe his visa expired. Maybe he did come across the border because he's looking for work and he's trying to live. Like, tackling him in the street and then, shackling him in jail and making a big, huge show about sending him back to his home country, like that, we have bigger fish to fry, guys. Just so you can hit a quota.
I mean, that's what it seems to be. All the reporting behind the scenes, Stephen Miller, we got to do this much or whatever. By the way, did you hear that comment that Trump made about Stephen Miller? Where
Oh no.
he said, like, oh, I got to thank Stephen. I love seeing you on TV. And you hear some people chuckling in the back. And Trump goes, maybe you should come up here, Stephen, let people know what you really think. Maybe not all your feelings, just because. And it was like, oh, does he have problematic feelings towards minorities? Maybe like maybe a little. You don't want him in front of the camera? Is there a reason why you don't want him to say the thing out loud? Whatever. It's so, yeah. What else? There was some other like tangential. Oh, kind of going back to the beginning of our conversation with the racist texts. This is, I think, all related. Like with the hateful rhetoric and all this stuff and how this stuff gets ramped up. Ben Shapiro was on with his peers at the Daily Wire. He was on a Zoom call that they released for like whatever, and it was Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh, and then there's an older gentleman that's bald with the glasses. I always forget his name, but he's part of their.
Joe?
Yeah, it was me. I was there with Ben Shapiro going, "What's up, Benny? Big fan, big fan." I forget the guy's. He's actually like an accomplished writer. So, anyway, Ben was talking about the death threats that he's got because he said we need to condemn this stuff on the right because he said if you were to look at my text, if somebody was to go after Matt, he said, Matt, if somebody was to go after you, we'd pretty much assume that it was coming from the left. Somebody on the left wanted to take you out. He goes, if you read my comments, he goes, the person who took me out, I would have no idea because I'm getting an equal amount of hate on the right. Like it's coming from inside the house, basically. I'm getting death threats and stuff from, Nazis, basically. And you're like, yeah, guys, yeah, the call's coming from inside the house. Like, and then it's really troubling to me that this is like where it is, and like you said, nobody grows a spine enough to say like, hey, can we just take a beat for a second and say like, hey, let's knock this off. We don't need to be talking about each other. I just saw a really quick clip with the Republican. I've seen him before. I don't know his name, but he's like a Republican lawmaker. And he talked about, he's like, oh yeah, I know AOC. Like I see her on the steps when we go in. And he's like, she may be a Marxist. And I make jokes. Oh, she's a Marxist. He goes, I even tell reporters, hey, don't get too close to her. She's going to steal your soul. And she laughs and we go inside and whatever. It's a big joke. We can joke with each other. He said, he goes, I'm Christian. There's another lawmaker, a Democrat. And he goes, he's the most leftist like lawmaker I've ever worked with. He's Jewish. And he goes, we'd have had dinner together and stuff. And he said, when my father died, he called my mother to see how she was doing. And he said, I think that's what we're missing. That basic level of humanity to say like, hey, I don't like anything your son is doing, but I'm sorry to hear your husband died, ma'am. How are you doing? Like he didn't even open the call that way, but he's like, that's what we're missing is just this thing of like,
Civility.
Hey, yeah, I'm sorry.
Humanity.
I'm sorry that your husband passed away. Are you doing okay? I got to go beat your son or, I got to go beat your son as a lawmaker, whatever.
I got to go beat your son.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Something, whatever. No.
Don't mind me.
Yeah. Yeah, you know me, I'm really tough. I gotta go beat him on the law. But yeah, it just seems like it's all degrading, and like the more I read the news, I'm just like, this sucks. Take me to the upside down. If the upside down is any different than what we have going right now, I'd live there. I'd be covered in oil, like those kids and things.
I've said it before. I grew up with this image in my mind of like sort of the personification of the United States of America was like the strong jock that stood up for the nerdy kid when other jocks picked on him. Right? That was my view, right, of the United States. And yeah, we're not perfect. We made mistakes. We did wrong things. Like there's questionable behaviors in the country we don't necessarily believe in, but like I trusted that at the end of the day, we were the good guy.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're the good guy anymore.
Now we're the bully that throws a kid in the locker, like, or gives him a swirly.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Yeah, you're not in the position of strength to push back against me, so I'm going to exploit my strength and press you down.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's not entirely what's going on. I think that's a really cynical viewpoint of it, but I just I don't see anything coming out of our government right now that tells me that there is hope. I don't see our Republican leaders having a spine in any way, shape, or form. I see the erosion of our Constitution. And I know people that think our Constitution has already been absolutely eroded. And there's a lot of arguments to be made that we've weakened it over the years so far anyway. So my point to that is like, great. Assume you're correct. Why are we even going further?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is a thing of that's
And no whataboutism on this, man.
No.
No whataboutism.
Oh.
Whataboutism isn't morality, right? Whataboutism is, well, they did it, so we can do it. No, that's not the high road.
Yeah, it's not only that, it's the fact that I think Trump did obviously run on this like burn it down type thing. And I think people do feel that, but I think what's happening now with Trump, I mean, to like wrap it up, is like he's being unpopular and prices aren't going down and tariffs are making everything go up, and farmers are screaming because China isn't buying any of our stuff, and especially soybeans. That is a thing. So really quickly, like everybody's life is getting worse. I got to do this before we leave. Avin, do you know how a mark in poker works?
What do you mean?
So in poker, like underground poker, I learned this from the Cincinnati Kid, by the way. I hope I've explained this right. I tried to research it before this. So in underground poker, let's say there's like you, me, and a bunch of other people playing underground poker. I come to you, Avin, I say, man, I need a loan. I got a hot streak, but I'm out of money. And you're like, all right, I'll give you a mark for $100. You got to pay me back the $100. So you write, Joe, $100. You give me the $100. I don't pay you back. Now, you and I are friends, so you're like, sooner or later, Joe's going to pay me back. But let's say it's been like a year. And you're like, I'm sick of holding this mark on Joe. He owes me $100. And now he's disappeared from town. So let's say my wife comes to you and says, hey, Avin, I know Joe. You're tired of holding that mark. I can't give you the whole $100. What if I give you $70 for it? So you're getting kind of made whole. You know, you're getting some of your money. And then I'm going to go to Joe and I'm going to get the $100. So you're going to lose the 30. I'm going to make myself whole. I'll lose 70, but I'll get some money back. That's a mark. So it was just reported, well, allegedly, Anthony Scaramucci, who is Trump's press secretary in the first term, he went on a podcast and was like, listen, I have it on good authority that the family members of the cabinet members are buying tariff receipts from somebody. So they're going to somebody and saying, hey, I know you had to import this stuff and you had to pay $1 million, but I'll give you 10 cents on the dollar, so $100,000, right? Whatever. So I'll give you $100,000 and I'll take your tariff receipt, because they're gambling, just like poker. They're hoping that the Supreme Court says, these are illegal tariffs. You got to return all this money. So then they can take this receipt, go to the Supreme Court or the business and go, give me my $1 million. So I've lost $100,000, but I'm getting $900,000 out of it. So they're literally taking marks on tariffs now and hoping that the Supreme Court overturns them so they can make a profit. So like that's now this is allegedly, and I want to be very clear, it's allegedly. He's like, this is what's happening. So they're basically they're buying up people's marks. Like, hey, you don't want to hold on to that $1 million. I'll give you $500,000 or whatever, and then, I'm going to go to the Supreme Court or whoever pays. I can't imagine working in the Treasury Department if those tariffs are illegal. And you have to just sit there and go through the paperwork of like, well, your containers had this material and that material and this material, and so we got to go to these people and get the money. It is screwed. And I think, not only is this immigration thing with ICE unpopular, but the more and more prices go up, inflation goes up, people get hit with tariffs. Then people see people getting yarded off the street. They're like, hey, man, I voted for order. This is not any of that. This is nothing. You're not even close to like fixing my problems in life, let alone making it more affordable, let alone making me feel I'm safe when you have nothing but armed guards just going through the city, just just snatching people up. So like it's totally it's crazy, dude. It's nuts. And I keep thinking like, man, it can't get any crazier. And then Friday, this video hit my feed of this guy getting belligerent with an actual police officer as he's drunk driving his kids home saying, "Are you Haitian?" It's like, hey, bro, probably not right now. Like, could you be not racist for at least 10 minutes and just go with the officer and do what he says? Don't do this, man. Don't do. It's like, this is terrible. So,
Yeah.
I don't know anything.
100%.
I kind of went on a rant there, but anything, Evan, at the end, anything to like wrap up? Anything to.
One, I wouldn't be surprised if they're buying those marks. I still very strongly wonder if a lot of these like back and forth tariff threats of Trump is just because he's trying to seesaw the market so that people can short and then sell and then
It happened in
buy back
Argentina.
and lower.
That's exactly what happened in Argentina. Those hedge fund guys called Besant and were like, "Hey, man, we're really taking a bath in this because we thought Argentina was going to explode and they're tanking and we got all these options we got to sell or whatever. It's like, God, this is great."
That's a little different, right? Like specifically when you're a lawmaker, when you're Donald Trump and you can tell your friend, "Hey, I'm going to make this announcement. Get out," and you can look at congressmen, aides, and other people selling out of the stock market hours before the announcement's made and the market tank.
There's
Like 100% insider trading going on.
Yeah.
Well, if you're the president and you're out there to maybe make a buck or maybe make your friends a buck, like it's super easy to manipulate the market like that.
there's a couple. I'll see if I can find them and I'll send you links. There's a couple websites that like just track trading with lawmakers.
Oh yeah,
Of, like,
100%.
Like I keep seeing updates, but I don't know their actual website. I'll find the website and I'll try to send it to you.
There is an app where you can invest based off of politicians. So you can like pick a politician's profile, and the app will allocate your investments based off of that politician's profile.
So instead of having like your own profile, you're like, hey, I just want to piggyback up for whatever Dan Crenshaw's doing, and then that's how you make investments. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
MTG hit whatever the news update of the trading. She just hit like, hey, she made some big trades. It's like, ooh, what'd she trade? What's she doing over there? Yeah. Well, Evan, is there anything you want to plug before we get out of here? It's been a really uplifting episode. I have to go drink, and that's not a joke. I'm going to play a video game and drink beer.
I mean, every once in a while I'm on your other podcast, Gaming with Grief.
Which I just brought back, just to
guys-
let everybody know. I just got back. I did a review for Ghost of Yote, which I haven't done an episode in a long time, but it's on YouTube. So please check that out.
So, I'd recommend to anyone to check that out. Obviously, I do have my own YouTube channel, but I haven't produced any content for a while. Hopefully, after my wife and I get moved here later this year, I'll start producing more content there again. And that is Your Agent Guide on YouTube. Also on Instagram. I do post regularly. Not every day of the week, but almost every day of the week. Just basic information about what's going on in the real estate market.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, do that. I mean, Gaming with Grief is where I'm at mostly. Again, I just published a new review, The Ghost of Yote. It's been a long time since I posted a review. I'm trying to go for quality, not quantity. So I'm only reviewing one more game this year. It comes out in about a week. So, but yeah, it's called Vampire the Masquerade. You remember that, Avin? It was an old TTR.
Oh, yeah.
They made a video game about it, and it was kind of in development hell for a while, but it came out to, I think, some mostly positive reviews. I, of course, haven't read them because I want to play the game, and I don't get games early. I have to buy everything. So it comes out. I'm going to play it and review it. But yeah, Avin, we should do something like a game where you can beat me and show me how bad I am at strategy. There's a couple strategy games I've been practicing online, but I think I'm still going to get beat. But we'll do that. But if you like what you saw here, please like and subscribe. Send us an email at
just so you know, too, if you're someone who has emailed us from there, email us again, because
I get a lot of
someone,
spam.
I'm not going to say who, may have interpreted your email as spam.
In maybe that person's defense, I know this person very well, and I'll just say that there is genuinely a lot of spam on there, but there may be some legitimate ones. So I will be a little bit more discerning. Oh, I'm sorry, this person will be more discerning, and maybe I'll share them with Avin so he can proofread them and be like, dude, this is AI slop, or this is whatever. I mean, I know we're both middle-aged. I think we're pretty in tune to like what's AI or not, but we will email us again. because we have gotten some requests to do like interviews or like, joint podcasts together. But again, some of those I think are spam. If they're not, email us again. And, let us know what episode you watched too, maybe in the email. Like, hey, I just saw episode, 58 and I liked what you guys said and I'd like to come on and talk about ICE or whatever the episode is. That way.
I didn't agree with what you said and I'd like to tell you why you're wrong.
Joe's a liberal cuck. I'm like, you got me. Anyway, everybody have a good month and we'll probably, we'll see everybody next month.